What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Dub Digital here. I have some more info for you from Zero Hedge. Robinhood envy. China tells its population to flood into stocks in the repeat of the 2015 bubble. Shocker. Where have we heard news like this before? Um, like every other top stock market top I've ever read about. But okay, let's go into it. 5 years after Beijing openly urged its population to buy stocks, creating a massive stock bubble, which then promptly burst, resulting in massive losses for those who bought at near the top, Beijing is at it again. My bad. Beijing's at it again, and after a week of staggering gains in China's Shanghai Composite and the CSI 300 index, on Monday, state officials doubled down, and a front-page editorial in the state-owned China Secretary's Journal said that fostering a healthy bull market after the pandemic is now more important to the economy than ever. And then I guess there's a picture of a grandpa with the cowboy hat at a trading desk here, and that's wild. China is a wild card, and they always have been because they operate so much differently than the Western economies, right? Western economies are much more about personal choice and like the individual's decisions and whatever. And the Eastern economies, and this is a generalization, but I'm just trying to come to a general understanding. Eastern economies are very, as a whole, the group moves together, right? So you have China that has almost a fourth of the world's population telling its population to go into a single asset class. And not only can it focus China's aggregate purchasing power in general into a single asset class, but China's currently devaluing their currency, which is magnifying that event, right? So if you check stock markets, Shanghai Composite's been going up. The stock market's been going up. The Dow Jones has been going up. And that's wild, because what's that telling you? That both countries are currently in active currency devaluation. On the western side, you have United States, who's currently printing, what is it? I don't even know, like upwards of $2 trillion in coronavirus stimulus funding. We're printing and printing, and then the Treasury comes out in tandem with the Fed saying that they're directly buying corporate debt and buying corporate stocks. So they're holding their stock market up artificially. Then you have the People's Bank of China over here, now directing people to start funneling their money into stocks, which they will, because there's probably some kind of state punishment, knowing China. And then they also buy straight into their stocks directly as well. I mean, in a communist capitalist structure, there's really no rules or laws as to what the state can do. The state makes the rules and laws, so they're holding up their stock market artificially as well. I hope you guys see this as plain as day. United States and China are fighting out in the open without telling you that they're trying to pretty much blow up each other's economy, right? We're basically in a race to the bottom here. A race to the bottom in terms of purchasing price for the yuan and the dollar. Whatever could get devalued the fastest is good for the macro picture, but bad for the micro, which is you and me. And then also we have stock market being lifted, and people not understanding economics think that the stock market is a reflection of the economy. The economy is GDP, jobs, some other parts, but it's really how are you producing, how is the average family in your nation living. It's not the stock market. Financial assets are only really held by a small majority of the population, right? So what's really going on here is price inflation that's being directed into certain places by the East and the West, right? So if you're not invested in stocks, if you're not invested in crypto, you're not seeing any of the price appreciation probably in a good way, right? Because if you hold financial assets and if you hold risk assets, or even any assets at this point, you're probably going to get some of the price appreciation because money's free and it's sloshing around. At least that's what they want to go for. So it will if it's not, right? But if you don't hold any assets, you're only getting the losing end of this. It's compounded because as much as the Bank of China and the Fed want to keep price inflation into certain assets, it's going to leak out into other places because they can make incentives for the economy to operate in the way that they want it to, but they can't make individual choices down the line as that money trickles down, right? I mean, the guy who got a lot of money from, I know, his business bailout or something, you can only invest so much in stocks before you start looking for other places to put it. You start buying some more stuff. You start living a little more lavish. It's going to leak out into consumer prices. First, it's probably going to be luxury items, but it's going to leak down into like consumer items like food. And this is something I had never understood. I tweeted Andrew Yang and I had an argument with him on Facebook in terms of this idea of universal basic income and giving each person $2,000 a month, and how he can guarantee that there won't be significant consumer price inflation. And it was crickets. I got no answer. So let me tell you something. That's indicative to me that the politicians know what's going on. They're not stupid people as much as they lead you on to believe that they are. So what's going on here is China and the US are telling people, jump in the stock market, it's going up. And this is telling you that the stock market's going up. Crypto's going up. It's going to go up before it goes down. Not financial advice. This is my take on it and what I do personally, but I think we're at the blow-off top here. We had the initial correction, the sell-off. Central banks, nations got scared. They know that the fiat currency system that they're trying to run into the ground is actually about to run into the ground, and they're trying to lift it up pretty much by blowing it up with paper and air. And it's wild. Like, how is this gonna end? It's scary. It's like gonna rip apart the structure of the world. This is something that I can't even wrap my head around, like the repercussions of this. The most probable event that's going to happen out of this is to pretty much make this system unusable, like just so inconvenient, unusable, unoperable, unfriendly, to the point that people are pleading to switch to an alternative system, which I believe is blockchain and digital currencies. Because only a digital asset could take this much wealth and this messed up of logistics. Like, the world is too complicated now to go back to a gold-based economy. I'm not saying that gold and silver won't be a store of value to hold value, but I'm saying as a mechanism, as a tool to transact financially, it's too cumbersome now that the way life has evolved. If we stayed local, if we stayed very centralized and not too spread out, maybe we could have some kind of physical, like, token or coin or something. But there's people on every edge of the corner of the earth that do business in the global economy because they have an internet connection. So the way the world looks right now is not conducive to a gold backing. It's conducive to digital backing, which gold will probably be in a basket, wrapped up in a basket with digital assets and other currencies, to like probably cement this floor down and make sure that the global economy stops floating around with no backing because the world reserve currency was printed into oblivion. Anyway, guys, that's my take on it. This is crazy. I mean, look at this guy. He's like 80. He's like 80 at a trading desk. I mean, maybe he's an OG trader, but like, damn, man, like, this is just reminds me a lot of like the .com. Like, everyone was like into it. Everyone thinks it's easy. Everyone, and not only does everyone think it, the government's telling you. And like whenever the government tells you to do something, you should like look at it and be like, what? And just like be like, why should I do this? Because usually it's not good for you. It's usually good for the government. Alright guys, Dub Digital here, coming at you with economic news, painting that macro picture and helping you understand how all this relates into cryptocurrency. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk to you guys later. Peace.